Bonjour les élèves, j'espère que vous allez bien. Aujourd'hui, on va apprendre l'impératif. Good morning everyone, hope you are all doing fine. Today we are going to learn imperative. In the past few lessons, we have been talking about imperative. Imperative, or in English, imperative, is a form of a tense. Imperative or l'impératif in French, l'impératif is used for primarily three purposes. One is to give orders, to give advice, and to give instructions. So, normally when you give orders, advice or instructions, you address it to someone. In our case, when we give any of these three, order, advice or instructions, usually there are three possibilities in French. So, you can give it to one or more people. So, imperative only exists in the second person singular in French, that is tu, the first person plural, that is nous, the second person plural, that is vous. So, just to resume it once again, when we give an order, an instruction or advice, we give it to someone who is in front of us. So, the person who is in front of us, in French we have two possibilities, either to call that person tu or to call that person vous. So, those are two cases, and the third one is when you give an instruction where we include ourselves, that is nous. In the next few minutes, we are going to find out how this imperative is conjugated. Like, for example, we say je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont, that is for the present tense conjugation. For imperative, the conjugation is also done, but only for three persons, like tu, nous and vous. Because in the other cases, you cannot give an advice or order directly. So, l'imperative is conjugated in the same way as the present tense, but the subject pronouns are omitted. Like arrêter. Arrêter means to stop. Arrêter. So, when you have the infinite form of the verb, that is arrêter, A, R, accent circonflexe, T-E-R, means to stop. Arrêter, if you are telling it to somebody who is a formal relationship, stop. Then you say arrêter. Or if you are addressing a crowd, more than one person, then you say arrêter, means to stop. So, in present tense, you say vous arrêtez. Vous arrêtez. Imperative form of arrêter becomes only arrêter and the vous is omitted. So, once again, the imperative is conjugated in the same way as the present tense, but the subject pronouns are omitted. In case of the verb arrêter, to stop, we say vous arrêtez. Vous arrêtez becomes only arrêter in imperative form. For example, you go to a taxi stand and the chauffeur, the chauffeur of taxi says, montez, means get up, get on, montez. So, he does not necessarily say, vous montez. So, that means he is giving you an instruction. You as a passenger can say that take me to the airport or take me to the station. Conduisez-moi à la gare, take me to the station, or conduisez-moi à l'aéroport, take me to the airport. But conduisez-moi, you are not using vous. So, it is an imperative form, l'impératif. Chauffeur can say, mettez votre ceinture s'il vous plaît. Mettez votre ceinture s'il vous plaît. Please put on the seat belt. Mettez votre ceinture. So, here again, the chauffeur does not necessarily say, Monsieur, s'il vous plaît, vous mettez votre ceinture. He is giving an instruction, so he says, mettez votre ceinture, s'il vous plaît. And once we are inside the taxi, we can say, let's go. Allons-y. Allons-y. Let's go. Here, as I was telling you that you can give an advice, an order or instructions to a person or to a group of persons in front of you, like tu and vous, but at times we also include ourselves. So, allons-y means let's go. So, in English we often use let's to indicate where we are also included. So, in French it goes directly to the nous form of it, that means allons-y. Now, the imperative is a mood that we used to give an order or a suggestion to one or more people, like arrêtez, montez, conduisez-moi à la gare. So, as I was telling you, I repeat once again that sometimes we include ourselves in the order and use the imperative in the first person plural form, that is nous, we. But this is similar to in English let's plus the verb, like let's go, let's run, let's eat. In French, let's go is allons-y, mangeons-en, let's eat, courons is like let's run. So, in all these cases, I repeat once again, because it's a very, very important thing to learn what is the imperative form, because in French we often use it. So, how to conjugate imperative in French? So, as we have seen, we have three possibilities: second person singular number, first person plural number, and second person plural number, tu, vous and nous. And as I have already mentioned a few minutes back, that it is similar to the present tense, but not always. So, for second person singular, tu, we conjugate imperative in the second person singular using the present tense form of the first person singular, and we do not include the subject pronoun. I repeat, we conjugate the imperative in the second person singular using the present tense form in the first person singular. We do not include the subject pronoun. First thing, I will just explain you before I get into the details, what is the subject pronoun. The subject pronouns are I, you, they, he, she. So, subject pronouns are in French je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. In case of conjugating imperative in second person, we do not include the subject pronoun. This means in the regular verbs that are ending with e, like parler, like manger, while all other verbs ends with s, for example, for irregular present tense form, This means that the regular ear verbs end with E, while all other verbs end with S for irregular present tense forms. So, that is the rule. I am going to explain it once again. So, regular verbs are those verbs which are ending with ER, and irregular verbs are those verbs which are not ending with ER. So, parler means to speak. When you have to make that speak, you are saying tu parles. In present tense, what do we do? In present tense, we normally use P A R L E S, parle. Tu parles. But when you are giving an instruction on order, you omit that S, it ends with only E, like parle. And prendre means to take. Je prends, tu prends, il prend, elle prend, nous prenons, vous prenez, ils prennent, elles prennent. In that irregular verb, when you say take it, prends-en, P-R-O-N-D-S, prends. So, to make it simpler, any verb that ends with ER, to conjugate the second person singular, you go to tu form of it, you omit tu, you don't say tu, you take the verb, the rest of it, and you just omit the S, parle, mange. Parle means speak, mange means eat. And for the irregular verbs, we add that ends with S, like prend. Prend means to take, P-R-E-N-D-S, P-R-O-N-D-S. So, as I said, parle becomes parle, finir becomes fini, that's irregular verb. Finir means je finis, tu finis, il finit, elle finit, nous finissons, vous finissez, ils finissent, elles finissent. So, when you have to say finish, so you just put, and you are saying it to somebody whom you usually address as tu finis. And vendre, vendre means to sell. So, vend, V-E-N-D-S, vend means sell. So, now coming to the second form of the conjugation of imperative, the imperative for the first person plural form, nous is as the same as present tense form. This means that for the ER and RE verbs and the irregular verbs, we add ONS. And for IR verbs, they are conjugated like finir, we add ISSONS. The subject pronoun nous is omitted. It should be clear to you, but I will explain once again. For the imperative, for the nous verb means let's do something, let's eat, mangeons. So, it will have just the present tense of nous as it is, mangeons, parlons. And for the irregular verbs that are ending with IR, it is ISSONS, like finissons, finissons. So, to give you the examples, parler becomes parlons, means let's talk, finir means finissons, means let's finish, vendre means vendons, that means let's sell. Now, coming to second person plural form, that is vous. Imperative for the second person plural form, vous is same as the present tense form. This means those which are ending with ER and RE and the irregular verbs, we add EZ. And for IR that are conjugated like finir, we add ISSEZ. The pronoun vous is omitted. So, it is very easy, like how do you say you speak in plural form? Vous parlez. So, imperative becomes parler. How do you say you eat? You say vous mangez. So, omit vous, erase vous, it becomes manger. And for the verbs like finir, which are irregular IR verbs, it becomes finissez. It is same as the present tense. So, come again. Let us see the examples. Parler, parlez, finir, finissez, vendre, vendez. Now, you have to also understand that imperative is also used for other forms than only instruction, orders and advice. Like for example, when somebody comes in and that person has to wait, you say, attendez monsieur, attendez madame, means please wait sir, please wait madam. Veuillez vous asseoir, veuillez vous asseoir, please be seated. Here again, just try to understand, in English like in French, we always don't use the subject pronouns. So, attendez madame, veuillez vous asseoir means please be seated. These are two examples. Veuillez patienter means please wait. So, these are the things that you have to keep in mind, that when you are also going to talk to somebody in a polite form, you can use imperative. So, imperative is not only giving order, instruction and advice, it can also be used as a form of politeness. You must have heard of reflexive verbs. What are the reflexive verbs? Like s'appeler. S'appeler, because it starts with is apostrophe. How do you in present tense conjugate s'appeler? You conjugate je m'appelle, tu t'appelles, il s'appelle, elle s'appelle, nous nous appelons, vous vous appelez, il s'appelle, elle s'appelle. So, these are the reflexive verbs, like se lever. Se lever means to get up. Se laver means to wash oneself. So, to form a positive imperative with a reflexive verb, like for example, you can say, just you are giving an instruction to your younger brother whom you usually say tu, you are trying to say that wash yourself, lave-toi. Okay. So, we use the conjugate verb followed by a reflexive stress pronoun. Reflexive stress pronouns are toi, vous, nous, moi. So, to form a positive imperative with a reflexive verb, we use the conjugated verb followed by a reflexive stress pronoun. Now, we will see some examples. Lève-toi, get up. Lève-nous. Lève-nous means get up. Again, let's get up. In negative imperative, so you can say get up, lève-toi. And in negative imperative, however, the reflexive pronouns is unstressed and occupies its normal position after ne and before the verb. For example, ne te lève pas, ne nous levons pas. So, reflexive verbs you have to remember. So, in French we have reflexive verbs, and how do you identify reflexive verbs? There is a reflexive stress pronoun like je m'appelle, like je me lève, tu te lèves, il se lève, elle se lève, nous nous levons, vous vous levez, il se lève, elle se lève. So, in case of negation of reflexive verbs in imperative form, we say ne te lève pas, nous nous levons pas. So, you see, as I said, that the reflexive stress pronoun, that is te or nous, remains as it is, and it is positioned between ne and the verb. So, there are exceptions also in imperative, in l'imperative. Exceptions because there are few verbs like aller. Aller, it ends with er. Normally, it should be a regular verb, but no, it is not. So, the in imperative form of aller becomes va, allons, aller. Then another verb which is very irregular and very frequently used in French is avoir. In avoir, imperative is ayons, ayez. And then être, another very frequently used verbs. Sois, soyons, soyez are the imperative form of être. And then savoir, sache, sachons and sachez. So, soyez calme means be cool. So, you have to remember how we use it. Sois calme means be quiet or be cool. Soyons calmes means let's be quiet or let's be cool. Savoir means sache. Sache means to know. Sache, c'est interdit. No, it's prohibited. No, K-N-O-W, no. No means to know. Know that it is prohibited. Sache que c'est interdit. Vouloir. Vouloir is another verb which means to wish, to want also. So, when you say veuillez patienter, so vouloir again it is an exception in imperative. It is said veuille, voyons and voyez. Veuillez is a form that indicates politeness, like veuillez patienter, please wait. Veuille patiente, veuille patienter. And you can also say veuillons patienter, means let's wait. So, veuille, veuillons and veuillez. So, this is a form that is often used in French. For example, when we write letters, we say veuillez trouver ci-joint, means please find enclosed. I repeat, veuillez trouver ci-joint. So, when you have to say veuillez trouver ci-joint le certificat, means please find enclosed the certificate. Coming back to the main forms of imperative. So, imperative we are using for those cases where we do not use the subject pronoun. So, coming back to the conjugation of imperative, we do imperative for tu form, that is tu means second person singular number, vous form second person plural number and first person plural number. So, nous, vous and tu. And we have also learned there are a few exceptions such as avoir, aller, être, savoir, vouloir. These are the verbs which do not follow the conjugational rules of the rules of conjugation of the imperative. And one more thing, if you remember, we also talked of reflexive verbs today. So, what is a reflexive verb? Where you have a subject pronoun reflexive stress, such as se laver. So, se laver means to wash, je me lave, tu te laves, il se lave, elle se lave, nous nous lavons, vous vous lavez, il se lave, elle se lave. In those verbs, when you are creating the imperative form, you usually use the second subjective pronouns such as toi, nous or vous. Lavez-vous means go and wash yourself. Lave-toi means go and wash yourself. As in English we have the same word for tu and vous, we are saying the same word, but tu is for informal relations and vous is for formal relations. And when we do the negative form of reflexive verb like se laver or se lever, so there is a little bit of problem with the hearing perhaps. Se laver means to wash and se lever means to get up. So, when you say se lever means to get up. So, lève-toi means you get up, but we do not say you in English, we say just get up, the you is understood, it is implicit. In French, we are using this te between ne and the verb. Ne te lève pas, ne te lave pas, non vous levez pas, non vous lavez pas. So, I am giving you a few instructions only to understand the better form of it. So, it has to come very naturally. Regardez. Regardez means to watch. Regardez means look out. So, when you want to point out at something and you say look out, you say regardez. So, coming to the end of this lesson, I would request you to go for the list of irregular verbs. Why? Because irregular verbs, when you use them in conjugation, they are very different from regular verbs. So, first make a list of French irregular verbs and then try to find out the imperative form. You can look it up online and there will be many resources on that. And remember also to find out the list of reflexive verbs and their negation in imperative, because these are the forms which, while we speak to people in French, are very often used. So, with this, till we meet next, bon courage, bonne continuation, à la prochaine, au revoir.